In today's video, we are going to explore best Paramahansa Yogananda's quotes about yoga. Let's get started. All thoughts vibrate eternally in the cosmos. By deep concentration, a master is able to detect the thoughts of any mind, living or dead. Science thus remains in a perpetual flux, unable to reach finality. Fit indeed to discover the laws of an already existing and functioning cosmos, but powerless to detect the law framer and soul operator. The majestic manifestations of gravitation and electricity have become known. But what gravitation and electricity are, no mortal knoweth. The ancient yogis discovered that the secret of cosmic consciousness is intimately linked with breath mastery. This is India's unique and deathless contribution to the world's treasury of knowledge. Vision after vision broke as oceanic surf on the shores of my soul. The panoramic spheres finally melted in a sea of bliss. I lost myself in ever-surging blessedness. When I returned hours later to awareness of this world, the Master gave me the technique of Kriya Yoga. East and West must establish a golden middle path of activity and spirituality combined. He continued, India has much to learn from the West in material development. In return, India can teach the universal methods by which the West will be able to base its religious beliefs on the unshakable foundations of yogic science. Who am I? How was this universe born? Who is its maker? What is its material cause? This is the kind of inquiry referred to. The intellect has no answer for these questions. Hence, the rishis evolved yoga as the technique of spiritual inquiry. A master bestows the divine experience of cosmic consciousness when his disciple, by meditation, has strengthened his mind to a degree where the vast vistas would not overwhelm him. In the first state of samadhi, sabikalpa, the devotee shuts off all sensory testimony of the outer world. He is rewarded then by sounds and scenes of inner realms fairer than the pristine Eden. A yogi must be able to pass into and continue in the superconsciousness, regardless of multitudinous distractions never absent from this earth. Whether in the buzz of insects or the pervasive glare of daylight, the testimony of the senses must be barred. Sound and sight come then indeed, but to worlds fairer than the banished Eden. A yogi who through perfect meditation has merged his consciousness with the Creator perceives the cosmical essence as light, vibrations of life energy. To him, there is no difference between the light rays composing water and the light rays composing land. Alike in soul, though diverse in outer experience, neither West nor East will flourish if some form of disciplinary yoga be not practiced. All creation is governed by law, Sri Yukteswar concluded. The principles that operate in the outer universe, discoverable by scientists, are called natural laws. But there are subtler laws that rule the hidden spiritual planes and the inner realm of consciousness. These principles are knowable through the science of yoga. An experience in cosmic consciousness, the divine dispersion of rays poured from an eternal source, blazing into galaxies. I saw the creative beams condense into constellations, then resolve into sheets of transparent flame. Any apparent insurrection of bodily or cerebral cells towards Emperor Soul, manifesting as disease or depression, is due to no disloyalty among the humble citizens, but to past or present misuse by man, of his individuality or free will, given to him simultaneous with the soul and revocable never. As the power of a radio depends on the amount of electrical current it can utilize, so the human radio is energized according to the power of will possessed by each individual. Each man's intellectual reactions, feelings, moods, and habits are circumscribed by effects of past causes, whether of this or a prior life. Lofty above such influences, however, is his regal soul. Spurning the transitory truths and freedoms, the Kriya Yogi passes beyond all disillusionment into his unfettered being. All scriptures declare man to be not a corruptible body, but a living soul. By Kriya, he is given a method to prove the scriptural truth. Identifying himself with a shallow ego, man takes for granted that it is he who thinks, wills, feels, digests meals, and keeps himself alive, never admitting through reflection, only a little would suffice, that in his ordinary life he is naught but a puppet of past actions, karma, and of nature or environment. Intuition is soul guidance, appearing naturally in man during those instants when his mind is calm. It is not the physicist, but the self-realized master who comprehends the true nature of matter. By such knowledge, Christ was able to restore the servant's ear after it had been severed by one of the disciples. Kriya Yoga is a simple psychophysiological method by which human blood is decarbonated and recharged with oxygen. The atoms of this extra oxygen are transmuted into life current to rejuvenate the brain and spinal centers. By stopping the accumulation of venous blood, the yogi is able to lessen or prevent the decay of tissues. Kriya Yoga is more than a meditation technique. It is also a way of life and requires acceptance by the initiate of certain spiritual disciplines and injunctions. Like any other science, yoga is applicable by people of every clime and time. The theory advanced by certain ignorant writers that yoga is dangerous or unsuitable for Westerners is wholly false and has lamentably deterred many sincere students from seeking its manifold blessings. Many yogis, however, wear garments of silk, which preserves certain subtle bodily currents better than cotton. Mere intellectual willingness or open-mindedness is not enough. Only adequate enlargement of consciousness by yoga practice and devotional bhakti can prepare one to absorb the liberating shock of omnipresence. No matter what the disciple's problem, the Guru advised Kriya Yoga for its solution. Offering inhaling breath into the outgoing breath and offering the outgoing breath into the inhaling breath, the yogi neutralizes both these breaths. He thus releases the life force from the heart and brings it under his control. "1,000 Kriya practiced in 8 hours gives the yogi, in one day, the equivalent of 1,000 years of natural evolution, 365,000 years of evolution in 1 year. In 3 years, A Kriya yogi can thus accomplish, by intelligent self-effort, the same result which nature brings to pass in 1,000,000 years. Outward ritual cannot destroy ignorance, because they are not mutually contradictory, wrote Shankara in his famous Century of Verses. Realized knowledge alone destroys ignorance. Knowledge cannot spring up by any other means than inquiry. Taking nothing for granted on emotional grounds or by faith, a yogi practices a thoroughly tested series of exercises that were first mapped out by the ancient rishis. The ancient rishi Patanjali defines yoga as neutralization of the alternating waves in consciousness. The ancient rishis discovered these laws of sound alliance between nature and man, because nature is an objectification of Aum, the primal sound or vibratory word. Man can obtain control over all natural manifestations through the use of certain mantras or chants. The consciousness of a perfected yogi is effortlessly identified not with a narrow body, but with the universal structure. The Earth's diurnal cycle from light to darkness and vice versa is a constant reminder to man of creation's involvement in Maya, or oppositional states. The transitional or equilibrated periods of the day, dawn and dusk, are therefore considered auspicious for meditation. Rending the dual textured veil of Maya, the yogi perceives the transcendent unity. The yoga system as outlined by Patanjali is known as the Eightfold Path. This is the Eightfold Path of yoga which leads one to the final goal of Kaivalya, absoluteness. A term which might be more comprehensibly put as realization of the truth beyond all intellectual apprehension. The first steps, 1 yama and 2 niyama, require observance of 10 negative and positive moralities, avoidance of injury to others, of untruthfulness, of stealing, of incontinence, of gift receiving, which brings obligations, and purity of body and mind, contentment, self-discipline, study, and devotion to God. The next steps are 3 asana, right posture. The spinal column must be held straight and the body firm in a comfortable position for meditation. 4 pranayama, control of prana, subtle life currents. And 5 pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses from external objects. The last steps are forms of yoga proper. 6 dharana, concentration, holding the mind to one thought. 7 dhyana, meditation. And 8 samadhi, superconscious perception. The goal of yoga science is to calm the mind that without distortion it may mirror the divine vision in the universe. The goal of yoga science is to calm the mind that without distortion it may hear the infallible counsel of the inner voice. The highest yogic attainments are not barred to the family man. Even in the world, the yogi who faithfully discharges his responsibilities without personal motive or attachment treads the sure path of enlightenment. The human mind, free from the static of restlessness, can perform through its antenna of intuition all the functions of complicated radio mechanisms, sending and receiving thoughts and tuning out undesirable ones. The law of miracles is operable by any man who has realized that the essence of creation is light. A master is able to employ his divine knowledge of light phenomena to project instantly into perceptible manifestation the ubiquitous light atoms. The actual form of the projection, whatever it be, a tree, a medicine, a human body, is determined by the yogi's wish and by his power of will and of visualization. Just as persons on the cinema screen appear to move and act through a series of light pictures and do not actually breathe, so the astral beings walk and work as intelligently guided and coordinated images of light without the necessity of drawing power from oxygen. The yogi sees the universe as the Lord created it, an essentially undifferentiated mass of light. The yogi is greater than body-disciplining ascetics, greater even than the followers of the path of wisdom, Jnana Yoga, or of the path of action, Karma Yoga. Be thou, O disciple Arjuna, a yogi. Thoughts are universally and not individually rooted. A truth cannot be created, but only perceived. The erroneous thoughts of man result from imperfections in his discernment. Why are you stupefied at all this? The subtle unity of the phenomenal world is not hidden from true yogis. I instantly see and converse with my disciples in distant Calcutta. They can similarly transcend at will every obstacle of gross matter. Yoga is a method for restraining the natural turbulence of thoughts, which otherwise impartially prevents all men of all lands from glimpsing their true nature of spirit. Like the healing light of the sun, yoga is beneficial equally to men of the East and to men of the West. The thoughts of most persons are restless and capricious. A manifest need exists for yoga, the science of mind control. Yoga is only a means and not the end. Yoga is, as I can readily believe, the perfect and appropriate method of fusing body and mind together so that they form a unity which is scarcely to be questioned. This unity creates a psychological disposition which makes possible intuitions that transcend consciousness. Please let us know your favorite quotes from these top Paramahansa Yogananda's Autobiography of a Yogi's quotes in the comments section.